Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, or as I like to call it, me talking to a camera at 2 in the morning while hoping that no one in my house would hear me and think that I'm already going crazy. Yeah, right. For today's video, I want to talk to you guys about the saga that has received a lot of love, but also a lot of hate. I'm talking about Twilight. This romantic story about a clumsy girl who falls in love with a vampire 100 years older than her. The last movie came out 2 years ago, so by now all of us know what Twilight is about. No one dies. So my point in here is not to talk about the story per se. It's about to talk about the facts that were part of the story and that, in my opinion, would have made a better story. So I read the 4 books after watching the first movie years ago. A lot of things, a lot of details that I thought that were important for the story, that I was really hoping that we would see more of them, more developed, and in the end, nothing happened about that. And I think those details, those little parts of the story, specifically part of the background of most of the characters, would have made Twilight a better story. So something we have to give credit to Stephenie Meyer is that she gave background stories to most of her characters. And I was a little disappointed that did not make it to the movies, or even in the same books. We did not go back to their stories and see how their past would affect their present and their future. And to be honest, I think that if we had had more development of those stories, we wouldn't have just stuck with Bella and Edward for 4 books and 5 movies. I know what this story is about. It was aimed for teenagers who wanted a romantic story between a girl and a vampire. But let's be honest, you need more characters in there than just those two. Okay, so no one was happy with those kind of vampires who were sparkly in the sunlight and that would break up like crystals. Where's the sense in that? Where would the blood flow when they drink it? But okay, fine. Let's move on after that. I'm here to talk about the background stories of most of the characters that did not make it to the movies. For this video I went through my books, but also did some little research on the internet, so I did take notes about all of that. So let's start with Dr. Carlisle Cullen here, the leader of the pack. He was born in London a while ago, and he and his family used to kill vampires and werewolves and witches. He killed vampires for a living. It was in one of those trips that he was bitten by a vampire and then ran away from his family. He was afraid of being a vampire, so he tried to commit suicide several times, and it took him 2 centuries to actually accept that he was a vampire and that he could actually leave being a vampire. I think it would have been important to know the story and the background of the leader of the clan, but okay, whatever. Then we have Esme Cullen, the mother of the clan. She was forced to get married when she was just 22 and was married to this abusive man. She ran away from her husband and took this new identity as a widow, but she was already pregnant. She had her baby who died 2 days after he was born. She was so depressed that her baby was dead that she committed suicide jumping off a cliff. People thought she was already dead, although her heart was still beating, and she was taken directly to the morgue, where this doctor that also came to be Carlisle Cullen found her and turned her into a vampire, because they had met already 10 years before, when she was just a 12-year-old girl and had broken a leg. It was the same doctor, Carlisle Cullen, who healed her broken leg. Then we have the blonde bitch Rosalie. We did have some of her background story in one of the movies, but it was like a 2-minute scene that tried to tell the whole story in just that little piece of movie. So she was part of a wealthy family in New York and was engaged to this bank working guy, although they were just engaged because they were physically attractive and decided they were a sexy couple, not because they actually felt something to each other. One day, this drunk fiancé and his whole gang of friends raped her and beated her up and left her in the street because they thought she was dead, which obviously was not.
Carlisle to the rescue turned her into a vampire.
She then killed all the guys that had raped her and beated her up, leaving her fiancé to the end. She put on her wedding dress. She killed the guards that were safekeeping the guy, tortured him, and killed him. Okay, she might be a crazy-ass bitch as a vampire, but let's be serious, who wouldn't have done the same thing? Then we have Alice. We all know that Alice has premonitions. She can see the future at will. She had this ability of premonition since she was immortal back in the beginning of the 20th century. Of course, no one believed that she actually could see the future, and her visions were not that exact. She foresaw her mom being killed. Her mom didn't believe her, or I think she did and was taking some precautions but forgot about them after a while that she was still alive, and eventually she died like her daughter had predicted. And her dad got married again, and she had another vision about how it was this woman and her dad who had plotted to kill her mom and how they were plotting now to kill her. She managed to escape, and then her dad put her into an asylum for psychiatric people. She received this electric therapy which caused her amnesia. Then he met this vampire who became her friend, and he knew about her gift. Remember that vampire from the first movie, the one that attacked Bella in this mirror room? This same vampire has set his eyes upon Alice back then, and the vampire that was working in the asylum where she was transformed her into a vampire to save her. She managed to escape this other vampire. When she became a vampire, she also gained control over her premonitions. Her first premonition as a vampire was about this vampire that she would meet later on that was Jasper. Apart from that, we know that she contributes to the family because she sees the lottery numbers in her visions. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. Just because you're not legally alive, does that mean you can break the law? Huh? Can you? Now Jasper, we did have some of his story in one of the movies too. He joined the army before he was 17. There are these 3 crazy bitch vampires that had lost her territory and saw that he had this sort of natural manipulation towards other people. So one of these vampires turned him into a vampire and also got the ability to manipulate the emotions of other people. He was in charge of creating these armies of new vampires and they dispatched them after they were too old to fight. Eventually he left this vampire that was manipulating him, but the sympathy that he had was always causing him trouble when he had to feed because he could feel the pain of the victim. Then we have Emmett. We know that he used to hunt bears. We know that he almost got himself killed and that's what caused him to be transformed into a vampire, and other than that we know nothing about him. Also in this vampire family, almost everyone has more than one college degree because they're immortal and go through college several times willingly. So Rosalie has several degrees in electrical engineering, business, astrophysics, and medicine. Alice has several degrees in fashion design and international business. While Jasper has degrees in history and philosophy. They all have degrees? If they had told me that, I wouldn't have thought that they were just stupid. And then we have the Volturis. These crazy Italian vampires that were introduced in the second movie. That one of them is portrayed by Jace of the Mortal Instruments. Yes, those vampires I'm talking about. So the leader of the Volturis had the sister who was the wife of another of the Volturis. So this happy couple wanted to run away from this other bunch of crazy vampires because they wanted to be together. That sounds really reasonable. But oh, what does the leader of the Volturis do? Ha 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 ha. Well, what he did, he killed his own sister, so this other Volturi guy wouldn't left the pack. So this other guy is the one that we see with the long brown hair that is always depressed. We never know why he's depressed. Well, it's because his wife was killed. But the thing is, he has never known who was responsible for her wife's death. Okay, it's a secret that this arrow guy has kept from him, so he won't leave the pack because they are stronger together, the power of 3. And so they have this other vampire inside their ranks that has this ability that is like drugging everyone, making them feel happy. First he killed his wife, and then he kept him in crack pills so he won't go away. Seriously? 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 Apart from the introduction of the Volturis, the second book was completely useless. You made me go through a fucking hour and a half of Bella going suicidal instead of explaining me this part of the story. I'm okay. You could have given me their background story in there. But did they? No, they didn't. So those are all the things that, in my opinion, would have made Twilight a better movie. I think that with all this background, the story actually had much more potential, but apparently they only focused on the drama and the romantic part, and they really would have had a bigger audience and a lot of success if they had left all those important details So tell me what you think, guys. Do you like Twilight? Would you have liked Twilight if all these sports had been in there? Or would have liked it any better? Please leave a comment. I'll see you next time.